and welcome to Dreaming in Fibre. I am your host Sarah from Sarah's Texture Crafts. You can find the show notes for today's show at dreaminginfibre.blogspot.co.uk. So how are you, my lovelies? It's a Monday afternoon and I thought I would catch up with you again here at HQ and recap on Fibre East and also talk about my Odd Socks range and other shop updates and things. And then I've got probably a couple of bits and pieces to show you, so in kind of no specific order, let's crack on. Okay, so time in review. I forget when the last time it was I podcast, probably only a few weeks ago, but it's been manic here because of Fibre East, which was a couple of weekends ago now, so I wanted to give you a little bit of a recap. We'll start with kind of the lead up and then I'll talk you through the show, what happened, and show you some photographs and stuff like that. So Fibre East lead up was crazy. Things really took off in the shop again, so thank you for that. I know I was pretty worried last time because it had gone through a bit of a quiet blip, so thank you very much for coming and saving me from my own madness and buying from the shop. It did mean that it pushed Fibre East production a little bit skew with, but I got it all done, so that's the main thing. I'm always I'm one of those people who always turns up for the train like an hour before it's due to leave, so I knew I would kind of be ready, but I still get a little bit stressed, over, sort of my production list and how to do things, but it was all fine, it all worked out okay. I took my chill pill and it all worked out fine. I got lots of extra things done and I did some new bits and pieces for the show, which you will see when I insert the stall video. So why don't I do that here? I'm going to start this side. Got my pick and mix, curlies, silks, got some merino, semi-solid tops, bats, more bats, my straight from the farm tops. Down here I've got my special blends of alpaca, merino, alpaca and BFL. I've got new product weaving thread packs, new product bat sampler packs. I've got some Rolags in the new colourways. I've got a new pack of hand-dyed samples. This is the breed pack which is on the site, and some more creative packs which are on the site as well. So these will be on the site in the next few weeks. Got yarn with DK this side and Aran, 4-ply, gradients, so I've got a few there. Then on the table I've got samples of how things knit up with patterns. And over here is the hand-dyed tops and final bats. So that's it. That's me, Fibre East. So I was really pleased with the way the stall looked. I'm going to backtrack a little bit here and talk about the actual travel day and getting to Fibre East and such, which is, I guess, my explanation for my lack of video from the show itself. So, okay, 24th of July was the Friday, the day before Fibre East, and that's setup day. So normally what would happen is Darren and I would take the dog to the kennel, we would rush back, Darren would shoot off to go collect the van, and I would move all of my stock boxes, grid walls, tables, that kind of thing, into a space by where we can quickly fill up the van and just get on the road and bomb it down the motorway as quickly but as safely as we can and get there to set up. And sort of traditionally that's been fine, we've been there and had plenty of time. I think the last couple of years it has been more busy, and that's because it's the first week of holidays, so you're kind of expecting extra traffic on the road. This year was something else, something I have never seen before and never wish to see again. It was crazy. We woke up, we knew the weather forecast was going to be bad for Friday, so when we woke up to torrential rain here in Devon, kind of we knew that was the way the day was going to go, and we'd seen on the forecast that it was literally going to follow us all the way up to Bedford, so we were prepared for that, you know, wet coats and everything at the ready, and you know, it is what it is, you just take it as it comes, but you get through what you need to get done, don't you? So we took the dog off to the kennel. She was a bit reluctant to go in, I think, because it was so wet. So it was a quick grab of the collar and soft pat on the bum and push her through the gate, bless her. And off she went, and she trotted in fine and had a whale of a time by all accounts. So wasn't too worried about her. We managed to get back. Darren managed to get the van early. We use Thrifty now as our van hire company, and since we've been using them here in Exeter, they've been very good. Their service has been great, so quite often if Darren turns up early and the van is there and ready, then he's allowed to take the van early at no extra cost, so that's brilliant. It helps us get away on the day, and it, you know, gives us a little bit of time so that, you know, I can spend the time titivating the stand and, you know, all that kind of stuff that you do as a stall holder, and then, you know, relaxing and going to dinner a bit early. So he turned up for the van, managed to get it early, got back, we got everything packed up in record time, and so we were about an hour early, so we had this hour in hand. So I said to Darren, you know, I think the best opportunity, or the best thing here is to take it as an opportunity to try and keep that hour ahead as we go through the day. So rather than getting on the motorway and stopping later on for something to eat, I know it's a bit early, but why don't we pop into the supermarket just out of town? We can eat there in their cafe, nothing, you know, brilliant, but it's food. So we decided to do that, and we both grabbed full English, except eggs for me, and we grabbed some sandwiches on the way out. So we were kind of set for the day, and we knew that the only stops we would have to make would be quick pee stops, you know. So that was fine. So we got onto the motorway an hour early. We knew we wouldn't have to make an hour stop, so our stops would probably be about half an hour at the most. So, you know, hopefully somewhere along the day we might be able to gain still some time, or at least keep that hour sort of buffer, if you like. Hit the M5, was going fine until Taunton, which isn't hugely far away from here, and then it was just gridlock, and it was gridlock for the rest of the way. There were points where we would go, you know, quick and not go, and there was kind of concertina effect going on, but it just didn't matter whichever way we seemed to go. We even turned off early and went turned off the the M4 towards London. We turned off at Swindon so that we could go up to Oxford and via that way, and that was still bumper to bumper the whole way. And I think it was just one of those things. There was so much traffic on the road, the weather was really bad, that, you know, we just didn't stand a chance. So a 3.5 hour journey took us 8 hours. Hence why there's no video of me in the van, because, to be honest, whilst the day started great and it was really upbeat, had all this time in hand, by the time it got to, you know, that kind of 5-6 hour point and you knew that you were not going to get there in time to set up, I was kind of freaking out a little bit, because I didn't know whether I would be able to set up Saturday morning, you know, or whether they would say, well, look, you know, I'm sorry you're late, therefore you can't show. There are some shows that do that. So I phoned the organiser, Jan, and she was actually really helpful. She was kind of almost relieved that we weren't going to be there, because apparently because everybody had been suffering the same things, and because it was a wet setup day, it was causing long delays. So it was chaos at the showground, if you like. So she said to me, you know, look, we're coming in early Saturday morning, so if you come in then, doors open at 7, you can set up then before we start the day, and you can be out of all of this madness, and you can have, you know, have had some sleep, because otherwise by the time you get here and you're finished setting up, you'll come tomorrow and you won't have had any sleep. It will just be, you know, kind of game over and a bit of a washout day for you. I kind of, as I put the phone down to her, I almost cried as I told Darren, because it was just such a relief, you know, to know that you're actually going to be able to get in and get set up, and this huge setback that we'd had wasn't actually the end of the world after all, and my little freak out wasn't such a big deal. God, so silly. But yeah, I mean, there were plenty of people in my situation who were doing exactly the same, so there were a few of us on Saturday morning who were setting up. But what was quite nice about setting up on the Saturday was that rather than, you know, a lot of the time people, you know, come over and say hello, because quite often at shows that's the only time you see fellow stallholders, so it's an opportunity to catch up and give people hugs and find out how they're doing and that kind of thing, and it takes away from what you should be doing, which is setting up. So it meant that setup kind of ran up smoothly on Saturday morning. And whilst we were tired Saturday during the day, I knew that the day started off with a stall that I think looked maybe a little bit better, a little bit more considered than it would have done if I had set up the night before, particularly after that kind of a journey. So we got there, it was fine. So big thank you to everybody who came and to everybody who bought. Saturday takings were a little bit slow, but Sunday totally made up for that, and we actually did better than we did last year, so thank you so much. Cannot thank you enough for that, for all of your support as usual, guys. Big love to you. And you know, really enjoyed it. I was going to tell you about the yarn that I put in for the spinning competition. I think I mentioned it a couple of podcasts ago. I got a card back. Let me see if I popped it here. I think I haven't. I think I left it downstairs. Don't worry. It was basically a card that just gave you information on how your yarn was marked, you know, and you know, for your category and so on. So my yarn was 100 grams of 100% textile that I had dyed in my colour after the storm. I had really good intentions of taking lots of time and care and attention in spinning this one and getting a bit of practice in first before I did it, so that I would get to this thing and be able to make this yarn the best yarn I could make it, to try and win a rosette, because, you know, who knows, I could have. But I got to, honestly, I got to it, and I was so deep in production for Wonderwall Wales at that point in time, and the yarn had to be spun, that I just literally passed it through, and I knew sending it off that it wasn't my best spin, but it was in a colour I liked. I liked the feel of the yarn as well. I was really pleased with how it came out, and I got 6 out of 10, and put a bit of context next to that. The person who got 10 out of 10, I think, in my category, and I think she probably won kind of best in show, if you like, overall. She spun some merino, and it was, I think it might have been a 3-ply merino, like a standard 3-ply, not a chain, you know, a traditional 3-ply yarn, and it was consistent and smooth. It looked like it had been a commercially prepared yarn. So seeing that, and then knowing that I didn't get a rosette in that category, I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. I completely get why this lady won, and total props to her. She must have spent an age on it, an absolute age on it, and you know, her spinning is beautiful and fantastic. I was still pleased with my yarn, and I'm not ashamed that it got 6 out of 10. That's not bad for me, I don't think. I don't spin to be kind of commercially consistent. I do like a bit of texture in my yarn, but the comments were that it was nicely plied. Sorry, I've got a little blip over my face telling me I've only got so much battery left, so I'll try and be a bit quicker. But yeah, I was really happy with it. I then subsequently forgot to bring it home with me. I should have picked it up at the end of the show. But we were so tired, I think, from the whole palaver of trying to get there and stuff, that and our hotel stay, which I'll tell you about in a bit, that actually we just couldn't think of anything else other than packing up and getting home at the end of the weekend. We were just knackered, dead on our feet, and so I forgot it. So I said to Jan, you know, as a big thank you for just being fantastic about us being late, and you know, coming, you know, having people come in early so that we could be there early Saturday morning to set up. Just please keep the yarn for yourself and knit yourself something lovely. So I don't have the yarn to show you, but I do have some pictures and I'll pop them in here. Since I've been back, I've done a couple of shop updates and it's been kind of manic here, so I'm in the process of preparing for Bristol Wool Fair, which will be, I think it's the 11th, 12th and 13th of September. It's that second weekend anyway. And then literally a week and a half later I'll be at West Point for Bristol Wool Fair's a 3-day show, West Point will be a 4-day show. So I am deep in production and kind of bricking myself about having it all done. I'll get it done. I do get it done. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, it's kind of, I'm at that moment where I'm still going up the hill and trying to get to the hump and over it, so I can see the light and know there's an end to it. But it's all good. And as I say, the updates have been really good, so I'll talk about those in a bit. I'll go back a bit and talk about the hotel at in Bedford. I'm not going to give you their name because I don't recommend them, but this kind of was the icing on the cake of the palaver that was getting there at the weekend. I booked this room, I think via Late Rooms, and to be honest, I've used Late Rooms before and I've never had a problem, and I always try and read some of the reviews and read some of the reviews on other sites if I find that hotel or B&B is listed in a few different places, just so it gives me a bit of an even sort of average of what people think. I also took a little bit of a chance on this one because it was £50 a night for the pair of us, with a breakfast, whereas normally for that area probably the cheapest price you would find is about £60 a night, and then breakfast or food would be on top. So I knew that I was buying cheap. It was a discounted rate for booking early, so I had all of that in my mind, so I wasn't expecting like the best place in the world, but I, you know, was hoping for a good night's sleep at a reasonable cost. Okay, we I suppose we got there on the Friday probably about, I want to say about 7:30, maybe nearly 8 o'clock by the time we kind of got through Bedford and all of that stuff. So we found the place okay, we parked up, we went in, and it the rooms were all chalets kind of at the back off the side of the pub restaurant, which is kind of why I booked it, because whilst I don't mind the idea of staying in a pub, if I know I'm going to be working the next day and it's over a weekend, then a pub's probably not really the greatest environment to expect a great night's sleep in on a Friday or a Saturday night. So if you're working, I try and avoid those places and instead go for somewhere a bit more quiet, because then at least I know sleep shouldn't be too much of an issue, or there shouldn't be environmental factors that would affect our sleep. So as I say, we got there. It was a bit kind of confusing as to where we would check in. So the door that was closest to us actually went through the pub and through the first part of the restaurant, and I think because we'd used the wrong door, unbeknown to us, because there was no signage to say otherwise, we got some quite filthy looks off the staff. And at the end of a very tiring day, I think we both looked at each other and thought, okay, we're going to avoid the restaurant tonight, because I can't be doing with dirty looks and things tonight, because I might have to say something. Very rarely do I get like that, but yeah, at the end of a bad day, I don't want to be treated like that. Thanks. We'd already eaten and everything, so it was fine. So we just we were shown to our room, and that was fine. That suited us. We were going to settle down with the film, drink some water because we hadn't drunk much throughout the journey, and then just get to bed early really, and get up at 6 the next day so we could be at showground for 7 to set up. So we got to the room. The room itself was quite small, compact. That was fine. I paid £50 a night. We're just going to sleep in it. Not bothered. The first big, well, it was kind of huge. I mean, if we hadn't have spent as much time in the van as we had and had a bit of a palaver, I would have actually asked to swap rooms on this alone. The person before us was clearly a smoker. Either that or the staff were using it as a smoking room. So the whole place stank of an ashtray. Now, I am an ex-smoker, so I probably shouldn't moan too much, although I never smoked indoors at home. But it was really, yeah, it was just one of those things that I can't be putting up with anymore, particularly now that I've finished smoking. They always say ex-smokers are the worst for that, so Darren was a little bit upset by it, but not too bothered. But he's probably a bit more laid back than me, to be fair. But I definitely would have asked for a different room if it had been a completely different situation. So we put up with it. We propped open a window for a time, and you know, went on with our, you know, sort of unpacking our bits and pieces and that. The room, you know, sort of on initial look around looked clean, but actually on closer inspection it really didn't. I went to make Darren a cup of tea just to, you know, say thanks for driving us all that way and for, you know, helping me out and stuff. And the cups had been used, and whoever had been in there before had popped the little sachets of sugar and that back into the glass, so it looked like, on a very quick glance, it looked like they were newly presented glasses, because they kind of put them back in exactly the same way that, you know, they were in before. So the little milk pots with their lids were all, you know, looked like they'd been nicely sealed. You would have thought that it was, you know, a new clean cup. Wasn't. They were both dirty. So that was out. Went into the bathroom to, you know, sort of put toiletries on the shelves and that kind of thing and wash up. First glance, okay, they cleaned the bath and the toilet, but on a second glance, and this is when I kind of call it my four in a bed syndrome, and by that I don't mean anything crude, honestly. It's if you're in America, Four in a Bed is a TV show here in the UK. It's a show where hoteliers and B&B owners take the opportunity to, you know, visit other B&Bs and hotels and then give their reviews and so on. And they do kind of what, you know, what I would expect as a normal customer review, but then they kind of go a little bit OTT, where they check under the bed and behind the wardrobe, all these places that as a punter you just would never check. You know, like they're pulling the plug holes out of the sinks to check that, you know, they've cleaned, you know, the hair and stuff. And yes, okay, yes, I would expect that to be clean, but as a normal customer I probably wouldn't go that fast to check that stuff. But the thing is, once you start noticing that a place is dirty, you then start sort of tiptoeing around the place and looking to see what else is dirty, and all these things just suddenly hit you in the face. Like the shelving in the bathroom was really dirty. Somebody had obviously, you know, had like lather on their hands or in their hair or something, and where they'd put a shampoo bottle down, it had dripped down the sides of the bottle, so you've got the imprint of the bottle, and then the suds have gone round the glass shelving and dripped off the bottom, and there's a puddle on the floor of dried soapy marks. And the tiles were dirty and the shower head needed a good clean, and you just kind of thought, oh, I don't really want to be here. But you know, we kind of we put up with it. As I said, if it had been a normal situation, I would have asked for a different room, or you know, the absolute you know, what sort of worst possible scenario, I would have just gone, right, okay, I'm staying elsewhere, even if it means sleeping in the van at the venue. I'm not sleeping here. But yeah, we stayed, which I don't know was a good thing or a bad thing, because when I got into bed, my side of the bed, it was two single beds pushed together, which is fine, I can deal with that. Darren's mattress was fine, it was okay, but mine had lots of dips in it where the springs had gone. So I had to lie in really awkward positions to remain comfortable. Otherwise your legs or your ankles would go to sleep. It was bizarre night. And then of course, you know, people coming out of the pub, whilst you couldn't hear the pub and the restaurant, when they got to their cars, the car park was quite near where we were. And you know, you had lots of, all right, Dave, yeah, see you next week. Yeah, that was a really good meal. Yeah, really enjoyed it. I'll see you Monday. You know, and all this. By this point, you're kind of rubbing your head and you're thinking, now, what do I do? Do I throw a grenade into the car park and get rid of these people quick? Or do I run out like a crazed maniac? God, shut up. I've got to go to sleep. Yeah, was not happy by the time it got to morning at all, and hadn't really. Anyway, so the upshot was that, yeah, just wasn't a brilliant trip. Great show, not the brilliant trip for us. You know, it's one of those things. Next time I think we'll definitely be staying somewhere else. So I'm trying to move the video camera here so I can get a bit decent light. That's a little bit better. And you know, the people were lovely, and I really enjoyed doing Fibre, so it's not a show that I want to drop ever. I just think we'll choose to stay somewhere else, and we might go up a day early. I think that's probably the best thing. So let me show you what I bought from there, and then that will kind of tie that together nicely, and we can go through what I've been making, what I plan to make, shop updates, that kind of thing. So let's show you. Got a couple of things. I didn't go too mad this year. Sorry, things falling out all over the place. Right, the stall next to me was called Knit One, and they are from Leicester. They are knit1.uk.com, and that's their details and the front of their card, which is quite cool. I got from them a Lang Yarns Soul Degrade, which is 100% cotton. It's long colour repeats, and it's like a cotton tape, if you like. I've never knit with this, so that'll be quite interesting. They gave me a free pattern that came with that. I think that's kind of a standard from the yarn manufacturer. So I've got the option to make a cowl there. That's kind of, I think, where I'm going with that one, but we shall see. The next thing I bought, because I've been doing a little bit of weaving on my tapestry loom lately, which I can't remember if I showed you, but I'll show you that next time when I've got a bit more done. So I bought myself a little reed tool for that, and that's from Woodland Turnery. Let me see, where's there? It's www.woodland-turnery.co.uk, and that's their website at the top there. Recommend you give them a look. They've got some lovely products. And then Coastal Colours, I think last year it was, I bought from them a pair of the Addy Turbo sock needles, you know, the extra short ones. Are they like 12-inch cable, I think, something like that? I haven't yet used them. hear good and bad things about them, and I know I want to try them, but I just haven't had the chance to kind of sit down and really do them justice. So yeah, I'll give a review probably on those at some point in the future, so check those out. But I bought this yarn. It's got lovely pinks to purples to blues, but in a kind of subtle shading, and it kind of does remind me of the sea a little bit. It does make me think coastal. This is 4-ply, 100 grams at 500 metres, which is really good. So it's a light fingering, and that's 80% merino and 20% camel. So a bit of luxury, and that's their details there. They haven't got a website, but I think you can find them on Facebook. So look up Coastal Colours on Facebook. Okay, so while I was at the show, what I decided to do was to crack on with some samples of my odd socks. So I started off with my two 50-gram balls. This is the end of those two balls. I think if you're on YouTube, you would have seen the promo video for odd socks. These was my colourway of choice. So this is Watermelon Neon, which is now available in the shop, sarahstexturecrafts.com, and that's what I have left from the balls. And these are my little socks. I've done short cuff just because I wanted to wear these sort of spring, early autumn as well. And as you can see, they're kind of odd but complementary. So there is in one skein the majority of the green with flashes of pink, and then on the pink you get the reverse, and you can see that a bit more because the green and the pink is probably a bit more subtle there in the picture, although in real life it is quite acidic. I've got 3 colourways in the shop at the moment. I will show you pictures of that in shop updates, so let's do that next. Okay, so in those pictures you will have seen lots of bats, you will have seen the odd socks colours, and what else will you have seen? You will have seen, you can tell how tired I am, I'm still not quite caught up from Fibre East. Oh yes, the colours from last Colour Club, all of those have gone up in the shop in the various pre-orders. Did have a little bit of yarn stock left over, which I popped on the Etsy shop, sarahstexturecrafts.etsy.com. So if you want to pop over there and make use of the little orphan skeins for me, that would be lovely. I've got some gradients left over, and I've got some variegated and I think possibly a little bit of tweed left over as well. So pop over and check that one out. Kind of need to give you your almost final reminder on Colour Club. I haven't got very many spaces left, but if you were thinking about Colour Club number 2, then pop on over to sarahstexturecrafts.com and book your space. There are, I think I managed to manoeuvre the spaces around, so I've got an even amount still on each of the options, so bats, the tops or the yarn, or you can have a combination of all. So yeah, see how you feel about that, and pop on over to sarahstexturecrafts.com and book your final spot. So that's it for shop updates. Not a massive amount this month. Throughout this month I will be adding more of the odd socks colours. I took about 10 colourways to Fibre East, promptly sold out of everything, which was fab, thank you. But only before I left managed to get good photographs of 3 of those colourways, so I'm I have drying at the moment a couple of other colourways, so I'm hoping to have those up maybe by the end of this week or end of next, but certainly by the end of August there will be the rest of those colourways and maybe some new ones too, so check those out. What else have I been working on? Realise I kind of done that all in a bit of a silly order, so bear with me. It's one of those days. It is. I finished my sweater. Now you will have seen a picture of that just a second ago as we got into this section. But I think the last time I showed you, I was just down to the hip increases, which is where the garter stitch lines start there for you. And as you can see, it wasn't a huge amount left to do. The only thing that halted my knitting action on this was the heat. I'm not going to try this on today because it's far too hot to try it on, but as you can see from the pictures, I had a good time trying to photograph this one, and it's a really nice fit as well. So if you fancy knitting your own, there's no pattern for this one, but I did adapt it from an Anne Budd book. It's the Anne Budd book of top-down sweaters, and I totally recommend it because she gives you lots of different options on how to have different types of sleeve settings, so from raglan, set in, sewn in, this one as well, which is like a yoke sweater. So there are lots of different options there, and there are some patterns in there as well if you want to follow one directly from the book. But there's lots of information on how to create your own, so recommend that book. And as I say, I used Anne Budd for learning how to knit socks, her book there, and with the help that she gave me personally on Ravelry as well, which was a really good touch, thank you. I totally would buy any of her books now, and I would definitely recommend her, so check out that if you can and grab it. You can probably grab it on Amazon as well, so yeah, check it out. That's kind of it for finished projects. I've been working on the free shawl project that I'm doing. That pattern I'm hoping to come out probably early October. I would love it to come out in September ready for those shows, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's a realistic goal for me at all. I'm on the final few rows of knitting it now, and then I've got to block it, and then there's some finishing bits and pieces that I want to do in terms of decoration for it, and then it's writing it up. I've written all the notes as I've gone along, but it's kind of turning those notes into sensible sentences and things. So that will appear on my blog craftsoftexture.com. You will also be able to get a link to it via sarahstexturecrafts.com, and it will also be in my Ravelry shop as a freebie as well. So I'll let you know when that's up. I'm very, very pleased that that's almost finished, because it's got to the point where it kind of weighs a ton on my needles now. So and it's taking probably about 25 minutes to do a row because the stitch count is that long. So I'm thinking that I might, as I write it up, I might give you tips on where to maybe finish it earlier if you want to make it a shorter shawl as well. So I'm working on that. I started another sock as well. This is, let me get me some little, people ask about bags occasionally. It's in my Starship Enterprise bag. This I bought on Etsy from a seller. I don't think she is making stuff anymore. I could be mistaken. If you want me to look up who it was specifically, then shoot me an email and I'll find out. But as far as I know, she was doing a couple of project bags just as a way to see her through the final payments of her student loans. So very well made bag. Use it quite a lot because I'm a bit of a tracky fan. So the sock in here is Regia Design Line Garden Effects by Kristen Nicholas, and it's in this bright kind of rainbow effect. This is it in the ball, and this is it knit up. Again, I'm doing short socks because I have a fancy for short socks. I do wear quite a lot of short socks actually, so As you can see, I'm just starting the heel there, but this is how it knits up. So I don't know how I feel about that at the moment. It's I like it more in the ball than I think I do as it's knitting up. I don't know. I think the colours kind of muddy themselves a little bit knitting up. But it's a pair of socks that are going to be worn on my feet. No one's going to really see them. If they do, yeah, it's a colourful pair of socks. I don't think they're going to look too bad, and I won't want to wear them or anything. I just don't know that I love it at the moment. But we'll see. I mean, certainly, I think as I knit on it a bit more, you see where we've got quite a lot of orange there at the moment. I think the next, if you look in the top of the ball there, the next large amount is actually a pink colour. So I think probably I'll get bands of each of those colours as I come down the sock, and that should hopefully kind of make certain colours pop a bit more and maybe not make it feel as muddy. I don't know, we'll see. It's knitting like a dream. I love the yarn, so I'm not too disgruntled with that. I just kind of meh about the colour at the moment. Yeah, that's kind of it really, looking around. I did a little bit of spinning before I went to Fibre East, and they're still sitting on my skein winder waiting to be washed and thwacked. I will get to that, and at some point I will have that to show you, but that's kind of it, I think. I've got another shawl on the needles, which is a new base, new colourway, and will be a new design, and I need to kind of get cracking with that. But at the moment I'm in a kind of bit of a brain fart spot, really. You know, my brain's just kind of gone, design there, can't do it, can't. And it's kind of because I know that really I need to be concentrating on other things at the moment, so I've got to the point in the design where I kind of like where it's going, but I don't know whether to rip back and make a few changes or whether to carry on and incorporate those design ideas later on. I don't know, we'll see. So that might be ripped back and be a bit more of a work in progress. I'll show you from the beginning as of the next podcast. And yeah, other than that, I've only got my cotton blend jumper on the needles, and at the moment it kind of feels a little bit too hot to be doing anything like that, so I'm going to leave that for a while to sort of marinate, I think. And yeah, I think that's it generally. I don't think I've got a huge amount to tell you. It was just a quick hello, really, just to sort of catch you up on Fibre East, tell you where I am now, give you a heads up on the new odd socks range on the website, sarahstexturecrafts.com, and show you what I've been up to, really. So I hope that you're doing well out there, and I'm going to kind of apologise here if I don't podcast for a little while. I would love to do another podcast before the end of August, but I don't know whether that will happen. With the way the shows are in September being as close as they are, I don't know whether I'll get any time again until probably October before I podcast. If I do, I do. If I don't, my apologies. But I hope whatever you're doing, you're having fun doing it. Knit lots of lovely things and spin wonderful things too, and come on over to the Ravelry group, Sarah's Texture Crafts. We are still having our craft along, which finishes on the 30th of September for shawls. You're welcome to join in with existing projects or with new projects. There's still plenty of time to start something new and enter it. Doesn't have to be Sarah's Texture Crafts yarn or fibre. It can be anything you like. It can be something that's been sat on the needles for years and you just want the opportunity to finish it off. It's just about giving me some motivation to get some of my design work and samples for the stall finished, so pop on over for that one. We're also thinking about maybe having a gifting craft along, and it probably sounds a bit like a swap. It probably won't be. It'll probably be what are you crafting for Christmas presents this year, and that probably start October time and finish probably mid-December, I think. But that's the ideas for the next craft along, so feel free to join in and get ready for that one if you'd like to join. If you are on social media and you want to catch up with me during the month, find out what I'm doing, then probably the best place to catch me is Instagram at the moment, because from there I kind of push those photographs off to Twitter, Facebook and beyond. But yeah, Instagram, Sarah's Texture Crafts over there. Yeah, that's where I am most of the time really, during the day. I probably post 2-3 times a day. So you can catch me there and ask me questions and stuff. But if you want any, kind of product or shop questions answered, then email me over at sarahstexturecrafts.com. And yeah, that's it. So I will catch up with you pretty soon. If you are coming to Bristol Wool Fair or to West Point, then please come and say hi. Love to catch up with you. So until next time, I hope you dream in fibre. Cheers, guys.